Hello, friends. It's Kat from Meow Meow Kapow. 4 million years ago, on a previous M-gram review, there was a poll asking which M-gram watercolor set I should put through the ringer next. The Quinacridone Quintet Set was the clear winner. I got this 5-tube set on Amazon, so of course it's listed down in the doobly-doo with all the other supplies. The colors included are nickel quinacridone gold, quinacridone red, quinacridone rose, quinacridone rust, and quinacridone violet. Like I do with most of the tubes I test, I threw together a quick little palette by labeling my pans, putting magnets on the bottom, throwing them in a middle tin, and filling them up before letting them sit for a night or so. M-gram paints never really finish drying when they're in the pan though, so this habitual step of mine is almost kind of silly. After I let them theoretically firm up in the pan, I then make my color swatch chart. All the colors inside are essentially red or orange or some close variation, like I would loosely argue that the violet is close enough to be reddish and the yellow included is warm enough to help keep this very fiery and warm themed palette essentially in the reds and oranges neighborhood. Or maybe it's reds and yellows, I don't really know anymore. But to test them out, I made a doodle finder challenge like I often do for new materials, and I think all the fieriness in the colors combined with the fact that I had been reading a book about a demon hunter or something at the time, and before you ask, I read like 3 books a day thanks to Kindle Unlimited, and genuinely don't remember which series I was reading when I doodled this, or I'd give a recommendation for the inspiration. But I ended up finding a little devil inside all the scribbles. If you don't know what I'm talking about in regards to doodle finders and scribbles, I'll link the original doodle finder video in the iCards, since this is a technique I use a lot. Also, please don't let my carelessness reflect poorly on my supplies. While inking this doodle, I used the pen that won the Ultimate Brush Pen Showdown, which requires an 11-minute drying time to be fully waterproof. I was talking on the phone with one of my sisters while working on this and just completely forgot about the time thing, and my first wash of yellow made the ink smudge in a few places. Forgive me, my favorite pen. I am loyal to you, and you have been in many videos and projects. The people will remember you for your luscious and velvety black ink and smooth flow, not for my short attention span and inability to multitask. When it comes to how these paints perform, maybe it's just because I finally got enough experience with M-gram to not feel overwhelmed by their color payload, but I found these 5 paints easier to get my desired shade and tone with than probably all the other ones I've tested for the first time. The range of combos, since these are all sort of generally in the same color family, is not massive, but it's certainly cohesive. Weirdly, while this is not what I would call a well-rounded set, it's definitely one that I find pleasing together, and I'm not even sure if I'd want to add a blue to extend its range. The whole thing is like a blast of sunshine, or possibly a blast of hellfire, given what I ended up painting. Either way, it's warm and enticing and glorious. Also, they lifted surprisingly well. I'd say that not a single one of these colors fully 100% lifted back to the paper's original white, but gosh darn if it didn't pick up way more than I was expecting, which meant it was really nice when I decided to go in and lift out some highlights using clean water and then a dry brush. I often use white pens for highlights because it's an easy way for me to work, but once I started manipulating the paint in this way, I kind of didn't stop and actually even ended up working on this more past when I finished filming. Eventually, I had to declare that enough is enough with this, though, because otherwise I'm going to just play forever and never get anything else done. So, without any reservations at all, which I've sort of had with the other sets I've reviewed so far, I completely and totally recommend picking up the Quinacridone Quintet set from M-gram, if you enjoy these colors and want to give them a go. You may want to pick up an ultramarine blue or something if you want to be able to create really deep shadows, since it's not easy to get that rich depth with these bright and tempting colors, but I don't personally think it's a requirement. Would you add anything to this combo to round it out better for your use, or are you also curiously enthralled by its current state, as I am? As always, please consider throwing a like and subscribe my way if you dig what we do here. Until I see you next time, I wish you peace, love, and devilish glee. Bye!